Susan here. Okay, today I'm going to show you a flat pattern slash and spread method with my sloper, ruching the lower back, and that's what's next. Okay guys, thank you for watching. I hope you're going to like this video, and if you do, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. The SC on your right side of your screen is my subscription button, so press on that and the bell notification so you don't miss anything. Okay, let's get started. So I have been doing some videos on the history of fashion and the history of certain designers, and I thought I would just break it up a little bit and do a quick study on flat pattern with the slash and spread method, just so we can get back into designing and pattern making. And I just want to premise this first by saying that how important the slopers are. If you don't know about my channel and how I stress that a mannequin is hugely important to designers, but so is the sloper. You have to be able to do flat pattern and draping in your company, whatever you're doing. And I do have on my website my 5-piece sloper set. Watching my videos, you'll also see how to make a torso sloper out of those pieces. The torso sloper is made from the front and back bodice and the front and back skirt. And if you don't already know how to do this, or you don't want to do it yourself, I'm now going to be offering a torso sloper on my website as well. And that's going to be a separate entity where it's going to have the front and back torso sloper using those 4 combination pieces, and my magic and special sleeve. This is a special engineered sleeve that I have done that is part of my signature when I make patterns for other companies, where it allows the actual sleeve to be able to move up further, up higher than most sleeves on a woven garment. Yes, guys. So these 3 pieces will now be on my website, and I wanted to use my back torso sloper and show you a quick study on doing a little ruched back lowered part of a dress that I'm designing, and that's what we're going to do next. Let's get started. So the supplies you're going to need for this little small project is a torn block piece of muslin about 23 inches wide by about 34 inches long. You're going to need that amount of paper. I have either white paper or brown paper. I'm using both just so you can see the contrast. And you're going to need the back torso sloper, of course, measuring tape, pins, weights, scotch tape, a very good paper scissor. I love this one. I'm going to put it in the links below. Fabric scissors, pencil. I'm using an owl as well. French curve, hip curve, 2-inch by 18-inch clear plastic ruler. Let's get started. So the very first thing you have to do is take your back sloper, and we're going to trace it out with the paper, the white paper. So I'm going to go ahead and put this edge on the edge of the paper itself, because I know that is already straight. I'm going to weigh it down as much as I can, like that, and I'm going to trace around the entire sloper. After I do that, I'm going to keep it down, and I'm going to make indications for the darts. I'm going to go ahead and put the owl through the edges of each part of that dart. So we have the sides of the dart, the ends of the darts, because I need to have those darts indications so I can work with that. I'm going to put this one here on the shoulder as well. Take the sloper off. And now I'm going to put in those darts with the indication that I have there. So I'm going to actually draw in the sides of the darts from point to point, so I have the indication of the darts in there already. After the darts have been drawn in, I'm going to cut it out, and this is a sloper. This has no seam allowance. I'm working without seam allowance first, guys. I'm going to cut around that pattern piece or that sloper Okay, now that it's cut out, this is a fitted back dress, okay? So this is going to, I need to have it really fitted. That means I'm going to actually put in these darts and close these darts before I start my process. I wanted you to see it a little closer. I'm going to actually pinch them in the middle like that, and I'm going to put a tape there, closing it. I'm going to do the same thing to the other one. I'm going to pinch it in the center of that dart. A little unorthodox, this is my way of doing it. There in the center, making sure I have the edge of that dart, and then I'm going to close it like that. I'm just going to let this go wherever it wants to go, because it will be worked out in the design the same way up here as well. I'm not going to worry about this one because I'm going to cut that one off. I'm trying to make a low back plunged dress with ruching here at the waist and lower back and butt area. So we're going to go ahead and use this piece here to show you the slash and spread method. Now that I have that closed a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and put my areas that I want to do. I want to go about 3 inches up from the bottom here and do the ruching from there. And I want to go approximately 13 inches down for that neckline. So that back neckline. I want to get rid of this dart, so I'm actually going to do the design from getting rid of that dart altogether by going over here past the dart for the shoulder part of it, and then I'm going to draw lightly my idea of my design. I'm going to just go like this and try to do a little lower back bodice, a lower back curve. I'm not going to worry so much about that. That's going to be all cut out. So I'm just going to go ahead and just let it fold on itself, and then just kind of draw in that line. You can do it with a straight line, you can eye it. I'll put a straight line there just so you can see what that looks like that. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and actually cut out that portion, eliminating this dart altogether, like this, and cutting through this dart here as well with the curve. There's my low plunging back. Here's my shoulder. And now I'm going to go the slash and spread. This is, just so you know, this was the center back, so let's make sure you understand that's the center back. I'm going to be going from the center back to the waist, approximately the waist here, and I'm going to be putting lines all the way through from the center back, like that. And I'm going to be spreading, so I'm going to go ahead and put some more lines. Just going to put lines like that and like that, and just keep putting, these are going to be my slash lines, okay? And they can be approximately 1/4 of an inch apart here at the waistline, and give or take, you can eye them about 1 inch or so apart over here. I think that's all I'm going to do there. And then I'm going to cut through those lines on the center back only, and not the side seams. I'm not going to cut all the way through to the side seams. I'm going to leave a hair. I'm going to go ahead and cut again, like that, and leave a hair. Like that. And like that. Now, once we do the slash and spread, you're going to see I want gathers here on the center back, and I want it to have no gathers on the side seam. So that's going to look like a very weird pattern, but that's okay. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and flip this over. Hopefully you can see everything nicely. And I'm going to make it as extreme as I possibly can without separating anything. So I'm going to go ahead and just make this pretty extreme. I'm going to go ahead and pin this one down instead of weighing it down, because I think it'll be easier for you to see what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and pin down the shoulder like that. Give yourself enough room here to make seam allowances. I'm going to pin the side seam like that. And I'm going to go ahead and pin this side. It's held by a hair like that. And I'm going to separate these other pieces. Maybe I want to go a little bit more. Let's make it a little bit more extreme and see how much I can get away with. Like that. Okay. I'm going to pin this side here as well. This is the dart edge, so it still has to be folded on itself. This is the dart edge. Darts here as well, folded on itself. Just flatten it as best you can. And then fan these guys out. I'm going to give some space like this. And here's another one. I'm going to separate them about, I'm eyeing this, guys. I'm just eyeing this. Like that. And you want to make sure that these guys stay closed. If they don't, go ahead and tape that there as well. And let's go ahead and make this a little bit more extreme here. And here. So I'm just going as far as it'll allow me to go. Right now, I'm pinning everything down on the paper itself. And you can tape it down as well after you get that there. So I'm going to go ahead and now I'm going to tape down these openings just so they stay put. You can give it more. I mean, if you cut more, you can get more of a spread. I'm just going to do a very basic one right now and not go too extreme so you can get the idea. Now this was a sloper, it had no seam allowance. I'm slashing and spreading, I'm making a pattern now. So you can either trace around this and take it off, or you can tape it all together. I'm going to go ahead and trace it all the way around so that I have that feeling there. Just tracing all the way around the sloper. I want to make sure I have this is the back. These are the two darts for the two notches for the back armhole. It's very important to have that always. Just going to trace all the way around this paper pattern from my sloper like that. Now it gets tricky over here. You want to get very close to where you actually have the edges of this. So I'm just going to put those markings in. Continue to trace all the way around. I have this notch over here because I want to make sure that's where the gathers stop. And you don't have to go inside or any of that. You just need these portions here all traced over. Once that's traced over, you can take your pins off, your weights off. And remove that. And here's that weird shape. Remember, this was the center back. It is now a curved seam, okay? Also remember that the center back has a grain line that is usually 2 inches parallel to the center back. It is now a curved seam, so that cannot be a curved grain line. So what I'm going to do is you have to pick your battles, whether you want to make it a straight grain, usually in between, and then find a grain, or you want to make it straight over here if you didn't want too much stretching with that. I'm going to kind of go in the middle there, and I'm going to put a grain line like this. That way this is not going to be too biased, and that's not going to be biased at all. So that's my grain line, and then I'm going to go around these pieces here, and this is the neckline. You want to just make your curve better. Just go ahead and use your French curve or whatever design you want to do. You can correct that. And I know that this is going to be too high, so I'm going to actually correct that like that. And I'm going to make sure that I have enough with the hips, so I'm going to actually add just a little bit here because I kind of took it out with those darts, if that makes sense. And I'm going to leave it here a little bit, but mostly take it out over here. Now you have to add seam allowance. So I'm going to actually add a 1/4 inch seam allowance around the neckline itself. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that in all the way around. Just for that neckline, the back neckline like that. Everything else needs to be 1/2 inch, so I'm going to give a 1/2 inch seam allowance on the shoulder. I'm going to give a 1/2 inch seam allowance around the armhole. So I'm just going to use my clear plastic ruler and do parallel markings all the way around so that I can have that all the way around. And then I'm going to put my 1/2 inch on the side like that. And this is where it gets tricky as well because it's a very severe curve. You can make it a little less severe and round it out better with your French curve. Continuing my 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around the side like that. And I'm going to continue that here with a little bit of flare that I have here since I took it out over there. Now where the curve is itself, you can refine the curve by adding your French curve or your hip curve to fill in the blanks that are missing there. Once you do that, go ahead and put your 1/2 inch seam allowance there as well. Actually, since this is the back, you might even want to do 1 inch, but I'll just do a 1/2 inch because it'll be easier for you to see. So I'm just going to go put my 1/2 inch seam allowance like that, all the way around. And there you go. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. This will be a paper pattern. I'm going to cut it out. I'm not making the actual dress yet. I'm just trying to show you that one piece with the actual torso sloper. So let's keep cutting. All right. After you have it cut out, we have to test it to see how it works with the muslin. So let's do that. Okay, I have my block torn muslin here, and I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to make sure that this grain line is right. I'm going to actually pull a line on my muslin. So I'm pulling a grain so that I have a nice straight line where that grain is going to match my grain line here. I'm going to fold this back so you can see that that goes there to there. Pull it down. Okay, just like that. Now you can either weigh down or pin it down. I think I'm just going to pin it down just to make it easier for you to see what I'm doing. Let's go ahead and do that. Now, I'm going to be using my fabric scissor, and I'm going to cut all the way around this pattern so we can test this design and see how it works out. This will be biased here. If you don't want it to be biased, you can play with that grain line, and that's a whole nother video in itself. I'm going to leave it like this for now, and I'm going to go ahead and keep cutting. Center back. Okay, it's curved now, but it will be ruched straight. I'm gonna go ahead and keep cutting. I want to establish where my ruching will be. I've established I want the ruching to be over here, no more than 3 inches or so above. So I'm going to put a little notch there. And I would imagine that this was going to be ruched probably not all the way till about here. You've got to give a space of where the ruching is going to start and stop. I'm going to put my 2 notches for the armhole of the back, so I know it's a back armhole. And I'm going to be drawing out these seam allowances. I'm going to actually put that in so you can see what's going on. Let's take the pattern piece off. So just so you can see what's going on when I have it on the dress form, you stitch here so then to actually stretch. I'm going to put a ruching thread here and I'll be right back. Okay, I sewed it all around with black thread so you can see the seam allowances and where it needs to be. I put a double stitch of a gathering stitch here on the center back so we can pull that. Before that, because this is such an extreme curve, I'm going to actually clip this on the side to that stitching line so that it can now fall a little bit easier on the dress form. I'm going to take the 2 gathering stitches and I'm going to just pull a little bit and kind of help it along, a little bit of a gathering. We'll have to do the rest of it on the form itself because that has to be molded to the design, to the actual dress form, and to see how much gathering we need. So I have it sort of started, pulling on that side and pulling on this side. I'm just using the top threads. You can only, if you're using the top threads here, please use the top threads here so that it doesn't lock on you. Okay, so that's gathered up probably to the amount that it needs to be, maybe a little bit less. And let's get it on the dress form. Okay guys, the moment of truth. Here we go. We're going to be working on the right side of the form, and we have the neckline here. Just going to pin it on the shoulder a little bit. I'm going to pin it here, and let's see what we have going on here. I'm going to pin it on the side seam here so that you can see that's on the side seam where it needs to be. This is here on the waistline like it needs to be, and it's molding over. I padded this dress form and gave it a bit of a butt, guys, on purpose, so I wanted it to be more realistic. And now I'm going to just gently bring this across here and move the ruching where I want it to be here on the center back. If I want the ruching to be more towards the waistline, I can do that. If I want the ruching to be further down, since I cut it at the waistline, I'm going to have to keep it there most likely, because otherwise it'll get a little distorted, right? So I'm going to go ahead and pin that in. Let's go there and here, and so I can adjust the gathers or the ruching where it needs to be. Pull it. I'm going to make it more extreme by just putting it up here and into one little area. So you're going to let it fold and let it gather and let it ruche all the way across. I gave it a little bit of ease here, remember, because so it wouldn't be tight across the butt. And it's very cute. I mean, it's nice. It's a very mild, it's not a very severe ruching, but at least you're going to get the idea of how to ruche a lower back with a plunging back neckline on your dress form. You're seeing the flat pattern turn into a draping type method. So you can see, I like to, when I do flat pattern, make sure that everything is going to be working. Either I work with the paper and put it on the dress form. That's the way I like to work mostly. But I wanted you to see the actual muslin as it's cutting. So you can see the woven fabric is fitting beautifully all the way around like it should be, and you can just play with the ruching there. It's ruched beautifully on the center back. It's fitting the dress form perfectly. Here is the pattern with the slash and spread method so you can see it again, and here it is on the dress form. All right guys, so we did it. That's how you do a plunging back neckline with a ruching at the waist and high hip on the back sloper with the torso sloper. And I hope you like this video. If you do, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.